Swag out
And the
there
voice, the
and
fragrance. And I'm here with the lovely Zerella Skies. Zerella, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Now, one of the things I was wondering about, where did your stage name come from? And when I saw where it came from, I got excited. Not so much for the second part, for the Ella Enchanted, because that's a movie I've never seen. I'm familiar, I've just never seen it. But you love Zelda. That means you're a gamer. And I like that aspect. So what is the first Zelda game you remember playing?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna front, not gonna cap at all. I'm gonna be straight with you. I've not played a Zelda game yet. I just used to watch it on the TV of YouTubers playing it.
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay.
more of a Mortal Kombat, Dynasty Warrior fighting type.
Oh, Dynasty. Okay, all right. You don't hear people throw out Dynasty Warriors too
Oh, I
often.
love it. I love that game so much. I'm addicted.
Okay, okay. So, all right, you didn't watch Zelda, or you didn't play, but what are some of the games that really got you into really loving the world of The Legend of Zelda?
Well, I really love like the fantasy of it, like the pop and the colors,
Okay,
um almost like kind of like Super Mario Kart. You know how like they have like the colors and the pop and just like the Wii. I feel
yes.
like with Zelda, they have that kind of like the Wii, but with
Okay,
also with like danger because you have to do challenges
right.
and whatnot and like forest and whatnot. From what I've seen, I do plan to play Zelda at some point. I just haven't gotten the game yet.
No problem. So, what systems do you own, if any?
I own a GameCube that I haven't used yet because I just want to keep it as is. I
Understood.
have a PS2 that's in my storage shed that I used to play. And now I have an Xbox Series X, I think,
Okay,
saving up for a PS5.
okay, okay. Surprised you don't have a Switch in there, especially if you're trying to get into Zelda. That would be the
Oh,
place to go. Well,
maybe I'll look into that.
you probably may want to wait, because they probably come out with a new system in a year or two. So you may want to hold off and see what they bring out. But they are bringing out the new Zelda game. I think it's in July, if I remember correctly. So maybe some good deals out there by then.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't addicted to playing Dynasty Warriors and trying
Mhm.
to get every single level and every person with different stories, then I would probably be on Zelda by now. But like,
Understood.
I can't stop playing the same game.
I no, I understand. My backlog personally is ridiculous, especially with Game Pass. There are too many games to play and too many games that I've started, but I ended up going back to the same handful of games like Trek to Yomi and a couple other ones that I've been working over the past year to try to finish, because time is limited, and when you got responsibilities, playing games all day is not something you can really do. So I get back to it when I can. Now you've been in the industry a couple years now, but you're still fairly young. And one of the things I saw was that you started when you were in high school, and there was a sort of a free speech battle around telling your story. Um, how has, if anything, that sort of platform of free speech really impacted how you've moved throughout your career since then?
Like, how has like that story affected
Well,
you today?
that story, or even say, has, what you do, your freedom of expression, how has that shaped maybe even some of the decisions you've made as far as your career is concerned, if any?
Um, I'm sorry, I'm trying to wrap around in my own mind.
Problem?
Um, I mean, like the like, am I relating to like how has things changed since I've said that?
Or maybe play it this way: how it's changed, or has maybe that experience influenced how you've done things in your career?
Me doing the whole interviews
Yeah, the interviews, the sort of
or the
controversy
experience?
surrounded the experience. Yes.
Oh, after all of that, I mean, like, it's kind of like, how do I put this into words? Like, there's been good things that have happened, and there's been like bad things that have happened, but it's been mostly for like good and positive
Okay.
things. Um, like the backlash I got on that wasn't too bad. you know. And it didn't really like change how I acted today. I mean, if anything, I feel like I have more knowledge now than I did back then.
Okay.
If that
Okay.
answers it.
Yes, it does. It definitely does. Now I have another question related to the time because I found that very interesting. And maybe you can give some insight, just, what led you, into the industry. You're in high school, during that time, especially when it looked like you was like 18 when I saw an interview or something like that, senior year. Most people are thinking about, okay, what I want to major in, college applications, taking the SAT. What kind of shifted you to thinking, hey, maybe the adult industry is a career path for me for the next couple of years, instead of going to college or even focusing on a quote unquote normal career?
Well, at first, like that was my mindset, like how my parents were programming me. Like they wanted me to go to college. They had a bank account at one point set up for me for college, and I was planning to continue my dad's traditional of keep going as the family tree. But
Hmm.
then, like as I like got older and how they treated me based on certain aspects, it went like this. So I used to draw like pornography. Like I used to like draw little characters and
Hmm.
doing sexual acts when I was little. And then they took me to therapy and they're like, "What is she
Hmm.
doing? Like this isn't right." Because I was young, drawing doodles. And then it moved on to them saying, "Well, don't worry about it. It's not like she's doing anything more. Blah blah blah." So he pushed it aside. And then after they took away that, like they told me I can't draw anything. It wasn't appropriate. They took away that. Then I started to write and like write stories and novels and whatnot, like just like put my own mind into it. And then they took that away from me and they're like, you can't write about this either. So they took my drawing away, they took the writing away. And then next thing I knew, I was watching like documentaries on TV, like when people would like flash their tits in like a basic horror movie. I don't
Right.
know, I found it interesting, like the whole adult stuff that I would see on TV. I found it interesting, and then I started to read articles online about it. I started to like watch YouTube series about it, and my mind was just intrigued by the whole thing. And
Understood.
then I started to sell pictures of myself, and that when I started to receive good feedback by men and other people about it, like making me feel good about myself, then I started to explore more about the option and like, do I really want to do this in my life? Let me see what it's about. Because, I had to realize that it's a big thing. Like once you do it, you can't go back. And so I started to do a lot of research, a lot of thinking that I had to put in forward. And then once I was like, this is something I really want to get into, because
Right.
Playboy was a big thing for me. Victoria's Secret was a big thing for me. Like I was like, oh, I want to do that. And so then after I did the proper research and watched enough, I was like, I need to come up with my stage name. And then that's how it started to go.
Got you. Understood. Now I want to go back to one of the things you said. You said you drew a lot as a child. Has that something that you maybe picked back up, or even taken some classes on as an adult to really explore that aspect of you again?
I used to draw a lot. Like I did art class and all of that. Like I love drawing, but when I had parents that are like, they were like my biggest bullies growing up.
Right.
When they would always downfall me and say all this negative stuff, I stopped believing in myself that I could do things.
Understood.
So I kind of gave up drawing, even though it was something I really loved to do and people liked what I was doing. I slowly gave up because I couldn't take it anymore.
Right. Understood. Well, I would recommend try it again. You may find a hidden talent that you forgot was there. And it's also very therapeutic. I have to follow my own advice. I used to draw a lot when I was younger, and I just haven't in the past few years. But I have a couple of very supportive people around me. It's like, you should do it. You should just draw. So I'm telling you, if that's something that brings you joy, you should definitely go back into it and rediscover that part of yourself. You may definitely find a beautiful part of yourself you never knew existed, or you totally forgot existed in this case. That's just my opinion.
I want to get back to I used to do graphic design
Okay.
in school, so I kind of want to get back in the graphic design and start making my own stuff for my brand so I
Right.
can put it out. Instead of having to hire someone, I want to be that person.
Right. Let's talk about your brand. You are, you're in the adult industry, and you're fairly young. And I say that to say you have a long life ahead of you, a lot of possibilities that you could possibly go into. What are you looking to really do with your brand, whether it's in the adult industry or beyond?
With my brand, since I also like do fitness, I really want to expand my whole self into a person that motivates health and fitness, mental health, and also like knowledge on the sex and adult industry. I really want to have a full spectrum of things. So like based on how things go, I'm going to like build my brand from like fitness, physique to mental health issues and LGBT and then also the adult industry as well, so I can like hit multiple bases. I
Gotcha.
kind of forgot the question also because I was gonna continue but I forgot.
That's all right. That's quite all right. One of the things I was going to ask about your physical fitness, I noticed just from a lot of your postings, you're in the gym a lot. Where does that desire to be in the gym to be physically fit come from you?
Um, when I was little, when I first hit the weight room in middle school, 7th grade, and when I was doing pull-ups on the bar and everybody was looking at me crazy because like I'm a girl doing pull-ups like the guys were,
Right.
and I loved how it made me feel. I loved how people, encouraged me and were like, "Woo!" Like I loved the feeling of, being good, and it made me feel good. So I ended up like loving the gym a lot because I started, seeing muscle and whatnot
Right.
and strength. And I think it really came of how it made me feel because of how people were like reacting to it in like positive light. And it made me feel loved, and wanted in a way.
Okay. Understood. I totally understand, especially the feeling good part and the mental health part of it as well, and how that really makes you feel. And what's a typical, like, how often you go to the gym?
I go 5 days a week when I'm not interrupted with another thing,
Okay.
work
That's
or something.
right. Understood. Okay. So you're pretty active. That's awesome. That's something I'm not in the gym, but I've put more exercise and focus on health and fitness in my life, and I'm out pretty much every day, doing 4 or 5 miles at least before my normal day starts, just because I've realized I'm not getting any younger, so I got to keep myself together. But that's awesome. That sort of dedication. And again, I've seen some of your videos and whatnot on social media, so it's a you're not in there just farting around, as they say. Like you're in there working, and it takes a lot of dedication really to stick with it for as long as you have, and is often. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about specifically was this aspect of the adult industry. What are your goals for the adult industry? Like, where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years as far as the industry is concerned?
My goal is to be successful, like high in the ranks.
Okay.
Um, my goal is to be successful and use that fame to help people.
Okay.
I want to, help others. I want to make people happy. So like my goal in the industry is to like, gain fame, get high, like in the rank and do good to people. Like that's what
Okay.
I want to do, like I want to just like make people happy with what I can bring to the table, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense, and I love that. What does success look like? Because success looks different to everyone as far as how you want to define yourself. What do you look like? Okay, what do your goals look like? And in many aspects of my life, that's a question I get, and that's a question I ask people. And even if people doing the same things, success is always going to look different to everyone. So that's why I asked that question, because you are living your life, you're running your race. Okay, what does, first place, second place, third place look like in your race? And then what does that next race look like? So I always ask that question, um, because it's interesting how people define that, but also how they see themselves in relation to success, in that. So I really appreciate that. One of the things I also wanted to ask you about, how, maybe not the toll, but what level of excitement do you have in the industry? Maybe that's the better question. Is this something that you get excited about when you get a new job, as far as people you work with, or it's for you? Is it just, and maybe you don't want to put it this, I won't put it this way, but is it as exciting of an experience as many others put out to be, at least for you, or is it a job for you?
When I'm on set, I am like literally like the happiest person ever. Like
Okay.
I love being around people. I love learning new things. I love exploring my body, getting to know it more. Um, shit, what was it? I can't remember. What was the question?
Just about, as far as it a job, like how do you feel? How do you approach it? That sort of thing.
Oh, I was going on a roll and then I just blanked.
It happens.
I'm sorry. uh, my mind just blanked. I was on a roll. Like I was.
Okay, let me frame it this way. You're on set for or shoot. Like, what's going through your head? Like, how do you feel? How do you approach it?
Okay. Here we go. So I get like when I'm on set, I get like really happy. Like I just like I'm ecstatic. Like like it going through the path that I had to go through to even get to where I needed to get today. Just being on set, it makes me feel very grateful because it took me 3-4 years to get in to begin with. Because
Hmm.
people would not shoot me back in the day because I had skin issues that I did not know how to fix. So I kept getting told, we can't shoot that, you got to fix that. So when I finally end up on sets anytime, I'm like extremely grateful because of the struggle I had to go through to get there in the first place.
Well, that brings up a very interesting point. This is something that I have noticed, particularly in the past few years. I'm glad you brought that up. Um I've seen that the industry itself has gotten more inclusive as far as the ladies are concerned. You don't see as much segmentation as far as BBW or POG, especially with a lot of the major companies. It's very homogenous as far as the ladies are concerned. So I wanted to know maybe how you see that, especially you're talking about your skin issues, and that, again, from outside looking in, so much more acceptance of female body types, and not so much segmenting the industry, maybe like it was when, and I was your age 20 years ago or so.
Like how do I see it today?
Yeah, it was like, as far as like that acceptance, like, um because many scenes, well, back in the day, a lot of it was segmented per race, per body type. You didn't see larger women in scenes with um, skinnier women, younger women. You didn't see a lot of more the interracial stuff, as least as prevalent as you do now. A lot of those labels have been, at least again from the outside looking in, taken off. Like, anybody can have a scene with anybody, with anything. As far as the women are concerned, the men I have no other issue about, personally speaking. But how has that, as far as like you working with people, you may be working with people you never thought you work with, especially like you're younger, but you've been in the industry for a while now. So, you have contacts, you've met people, you've worked with people, and the influx of talent, especially ladies, it's women of different shapes, different sizes, different colors, and everybody seems to be working together. What sort of environment does that foster? Maybe that's a better question to ask.
Um, I hope I answered this right. Like when I first was like looking into getting into porn, I thought it was like, oh, you can get into porn super easily, like as
Right.
long as you can just get in. But then when I first tried to get in and dealing with my skin issues, I learned that the porn industry is actually super picky on letting people even on set to begin with. And
Right.
so over those 3-4 years that I was trying to figure out how to like make my skin better for camera and whatnot, trying to fix everything because I didn't
Yeah.
know what to do. I've learned that like to today that a little by little, I've noticed small changes. I noticed some girls that have the issues that I was having 3-4 years ago that I was getting rejected for. I'm slowly starting to see that
Hmm.
today, just a little bit, but I feel like that there's still a lot of problems going on with
Got
like
you.
still they're still focused on the girl next door when there's people that want to see more than that. Like example would be girls with tattoos. They're not getting booked as much because
Hmm.
of their tattoos. And I think that's crazy because I mean, if you really want to make money for your company and your brand, you listen to what the fans who are buying the product have to say. And looking at today, a lot of people love a girl with a tattoo. I mean, it's pretty hot. Like, and to just cut that whole area out because they have tattoos, I think that's kind of like, I don't understand. Like, I thought you wanted to make money, but you
Right.
just want to stick to one thing. And if you really want to expand, you put more options in. And it just, I find it kind of like mind guzzling, I think is, I don't know how to
Hmm.
say that, but it's just like, I thought you wanted to do business, but you want to push other differences away, even though the fans continuously ask to see it. Like
Right.
they want to see it. You're gonna make money, but they're like, no, it's not. It doesn't fit like back in the day. Like it's just what? Like if you know how to perform and you know how to act and you're good and you're positive, you know, you're good. You just know how to perform. I think that's what matters, not what you look like, what your body looks like, what your
Right.
gender is. If you can perform well, that's what should matter.
Right. Now, let me ask you a question because that you bring up a very good point as far as, you started that segmentation, in this case, very specifically, ladies with tattoos don't get hired as much, and yet there's a consumer demand for it. Do you think instances like that are the very reason why, um, obviously the pandemic had a lot to do with that explosion as well, but why direct to consumer platforms like OnlyFans and MyVids are really a lot more lucrative for a lot of talent now compared to even when, because OnlyFans has been around for a while, but really people found it and like, oh, this is something we can do. We can talk directly to our fans. We can, sell content this way. Whereas the companies are ignoring that market. And now talent seems to be really able to engage and directly go with the consumer. Do you think that's a main reason for that explosion, or maybe one of the main reasons?
Um, is the question like trying to the question?
Let me
Um,
rephrase it. Considering that there's a lot of untapped market as far as what customers want, like ladies with tattoos, and the major companies are not addressing that. Do you think that's one of the reasons why platforms like OnlyFans or MyReadyVids, or I forget what it's called, um, that direct to consumer model has been so profitable and helped to explode the industry and to have a lot of talent really make more money than they ever did shooting for a company?
I think yes, because on online, like on like the many vids and whatnot, you're
Mhm.
able to search for what you want
Right,
versus with a certain company. Like let's say you really love to watch a certain company, but they just don't give you what you're looking for. Then
right,
you go to many vids or Pornhub or another website, and then you get to actually search for what you're actually wanting an interest in. Like
right.
for me, like I really want to get tattoos like super bad, but with how I see people get treated, especially being a person of color as it is, I just know that if I get tattoos, then my work is already gonna go downhill, and it's
Understood.
just it blows my mind because it's just like there's people that want to see it. There's a market. There's people, and it's not like it used to be back in the day with the girl next door all pretty dolled up. Like people, yeah, there's people that love that, but there's also people that want to see some edgy stuff or even
Right.
just something different.
Now, that brings up a question. Do you think that even maybe yourself, because you have a certain look, certain body type, do you think that many ladies, particularly, even some of the guys, do you think a lot of performers are typecast in certain roles, certain scenes, certain scenarios because of they don't want them to change their look?
Oh yeah, I feel like there's a lot of that going on. Like if you gotta look for something specific and
Hmm.
you keep getting booked for that look, I feel like people tend to not want to change that look because that's what's getting them work. That's what's getting them money. So
Right.
I feel like the pressure is on a lot of people to stay and look the same and not grow, even if it's something that they want to, add on to with their brand. Like they could be too scared to do it because they don't
Right.
know how it's going to go. It could be positive or it could be negative for everything.
Okay. Yeah, because I never thought about that before, but in researching you and I see kind of how you're packaged and presented, and you're very much that. I mean, you're a younger woman, but you're presented as that sort of girl next door, that younger sister, and I can see, and as we're talking, like I can see that being a hindrance to really maybe growing artistically, working with other companies, other brands, doing maybe things that are outside of the box as well. So yeah, that could be a problem, and that's just even with mainstream acting as well. Once you get typecast into a certain sort of role because of your look, some actors are stuck there and die there. So okay, yeah, interesting. Now I have a couple more questions before I let you go. And again, I appreciate your time. Um, the my brand itself is very much about style, and one of the things I am really not in love with, but I have a hobby. I collect fragrances, so I always ask, are you into fragrances at all?
I'm into this one fragrance that I like. It's like I think it's Victor Rolf
Okay,
flower
Flower
bomb.
Bomb, yes. So you said that, I knew where you were going.
That's my go-to fragrance. Well, I have two, but it's not a perfume. But the fragrance, oh, it's a winner. The combination is a winner every time. I combine that perfume with
Hmm.
this product called Revive,
Okay.
and it's like a mango, like fruity type scent, and then with the Victor Rolf, which is like this like
Yeah,
romancy
so you get
type
a
scent.
floral, fruity sort of combination with the two. Okay, all
It's
right.
sweet
All
and
right.
fruity. I don't know. It's just
I, it's interesting. Like I am familiar as far as the men are concerned. I'm familiar with Victor Rose Spice Bomb. I've never smelled Flower Bomb, but recently I've had a few acquaintances talk about how much they love that. So it's very interesting, and you bring that up as well. So awesome. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna ask you another question. Are the You may not have a specific fragrance that you like to smell on someone you're involved with, but is there any sort of, if there is one, do you have one? If not, any sort of sense that really just you love to smell on someone else?
vanilla
Okay.
or like that good. I can't name it, but when a guy just sprays on that clean, crisp, like they just like came out of a nice shower,
Yes.
but like not a jungle, but like I don't know, just crisp and clean like a water drip.
Yes.
When
I
I smell
understand
that,
exactly what you're saying.
or
Got you. I totally understand that. It's someone I don't even know how many I have. I'm looking over now. It's like a jumbled mess of big bottles, little bottles, samples. I don't know what I have anymore. It's too doggone many. So, but I totally understand what you're saying. Nazarella, I want to thank you again for your time. Tell everybody where they can find you.
you can find me on Instagram at the moment at underscore skies unlimited underscore. You can find me on Twitter at Zerella Skies. Then you can find me on OnlyFans at Zerella in the Sky.
Right. Thank you very much. If you missed all that'll be down below in the show notes. Again, Zarella, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. You guys take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.